first official podcast, we're going to be taking a look at some of the gear that you like so much and some of the gear that is going to be coming out very soon. We just happen to be the lucky guys that get to test some of this stuff out, and you'll be one of the first to actually test it because he's going to be our gopher. I mean, you know, just in case you get hurt, right?
Hey, you got to throw me in the battlefield, and I'll eat the dirt, I'll take the hits, I'll do whatever we got to do to make sure that these products get tested the right way.
Okay, so here's another thing, too, is we've been in the field for quite some time. You're probably wondering, who the heck are these guys? Well, this is my main guy who actually runs a lot of the sporting events that I do, lots of commercial production, helps me write a lot as well. Basically, my right-hand man. So, you know, my wife gets jealous sometimes, but that's okay. No, in fact, I think it's the other way around. You get jealous when I hang around with my wife, but hey, we'll get into that later. Also, I've been producing sporting events for many years, also a commentator. That's why they're using my voice here tonight. But we've also been a fan of ProAim for many years, been using their gear.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful opportunity to be able to test these products out. Like we were saying, we're a small crew, and a lot of these products that ProAim is coming out with is just ideal for these small, tight-knit groups that we have. We don't have a lot of access to huge crews like these big Hollywood productions and whatnot. ProAim is really just making these tools that are taking our kinds of projects to the next level.
And you're going to see that yourself. This is just all talk. Actions speak louder than words. So why don't we go ahead and roll one of our highlight clips and see what we can come up with, and you can be the judge for yourself, and you'll see some of our old stuff too. Get ready. Because we've got some pretty embarrassing clips of you.
Oh,
too.
Lord.
How many times have we practiced somebody getting knocked out and then you falling in the water? I mean, we even had him wear a suit, and my God, the bill was so expensive to clean it, wasn't it?
The things they put me through here. We have no company insurance.
I mean, I have you throwing mugs at guys. I have you pulling out guns. Look, we don't use flash bangs or any of that. We do all that stuff in post using muzzle flashes, of course, and a lot of you already know what that is. And there's proper ways of doing it. I've seen guys that make muzzle flashes on guns, and then when you see them, they're horrible. I mean, they're so bad. You're like, did you do it? Is this a TikTok app or something? We're gonna show you the proper ways of utilizing a muzzle flash. It's more than just throwing the muzzle flash on the gun. Yeah. It's about motion tracking. It's about ejection of bullets. It's about the flash on the skin. And those are things, the many things we'll be touching on. All right, we're such a low-budget podcast that I forgot to bring a chair. I'm going to do him the favor. He gets in the chair. He actually works a lot harder than me when he's holding the camera and all that. So me and you had a chance to be able to use the Cinedolly recently. And this is the scene where you were throwing a coffee mug, and we couldn't wait. And the funny thing is when you threw the first coffee mug on the first take, it was it landed, but the camera didn't pick up the colors. So then we learned that if you're going to have a white coffee mug, okay, make sure the guy's not wearing a white shirt, because that will just disappear. And I'm glad we had two of those. So make sure you have two of them. But man, what was your experience on there? How did you feel loading up all the gear? Because you actually physically unloaded that stuff out of it.
Yeah, so, you know, the cool thing about it is it's very heavy duty. It's strong equipment. This isn't anything cheap here. This is nice, strong metal. This isn't flimsy. This is all kinds of stuff that is really going to stay sturdy and where you want it in place. But, you know, in addition to that, you would think that it's going to be some huge, heavy product. You need, you know, 2, 3, 4 guys to come help you unload out of this truck. With virtually every product that we've tested here with ProAim, we're able to, if not one person, maximum 2 people to unload all this equipment out of a van, move it to our location, film, and load everything right back up.
That's a great point that you make. Like, it's the one time when you want your gear to actually be heavy. A lot of people don't like heavy gear, but I've learned over time that light, flimsy gear,
it's not worth it.
And you know, the insurance on that, on your camera, is just not even worth it at that point, because the stuff's just falling over. That's a great point. Yeah, we were moving that stuff in, and then you also, what was the shot? You came in, and then you had to fall on the ground. Did you get sore the next day?
Oh, yeah, I definitely...
All right, let's roll that clip while he's talking about it. Let's see that
Definitely had a bruise developing on my hip the next day. Definitely a little bit of soreness there. Sure. I think we probably, including rehearsals with the shot, we probably ran that throw about 20 to 30 times.
My God.
Eventually we just got to the point where we were able to move the camera down to a lower angle. Then I could just kind of do a little toss here, and it wasn't as bad. But I mean, those first 10 to 15 tries, I was really trying to get into the role and really throw myself into it.
It wasn't until the next day I found out. He didn't tell anybody. He just kind of walked around. He played the tough guy. And then I go, what happened? I mean, are you all right? You know, and I know he just recently had a son, so, you know, his son is probably, like in the last year, has probably worn him down. But I mean, you were literally Tiny Tim, dude. And I was like, oh my God, the stuff I'm putting us through. Maybe we should use padding next time, because that was pretty hard.
Definitely a good idea not to leave that at home. And the funny thing is, we do have padding. We just neglected to bring it because we thought, we got this. You know, it's action hero stuff. You know, we could do this, right?
Lazy.
Next time. We'll take a little more precaution.
Now, we were talking about muzzle flashes earlier, and some of the stuff that you can do is great nowadays with motion tracking. Now, a lot of people get carried away with motion tracking. They think just because they have some kind of stabilizer, it's going to fix the world. It will not fix the world, okay? It's basically, you need smooth shots, all right? Or even just, if you can, leave the camera on the tripod, if you can, especially when you're shooting nowadays with 8K, 4K images. It's really easy to just pan and crop and put that natural camera shake afterwards. Right. However, I'm the type of guy that's really picky, and that's like 2D imagey for me. You know what I mean? I like to go for the full 3D effect. And being able to motion track is what we were able to do in some of these scenes. You know, with the Cine Dolly, it's so, like you said, it's heavy duty, so it makes it a lot easier to actually just scroll. And the fact that we don't have to set up a gimbal, sometimes you're the guy setting it up, dude. It's a pain in the ass, really.
Yeah, you know, especially, you know, with with how the gimbal system is working, especially with the smaller ones and with a couple of different brands that we've messed around with here, we've just noticed that, you know, it's never quite the perfect fit. It's always something is moving a little bit too much, or something's jiggling a little bit, or the weight disbursement just isn't quite right.
Yeah.
You know, all this gear that we've been able to test with proaim, you know, it's just firm, in place, it's where you need it, without any of that extra movement, no jiggle, none of that.
And we're gonna roll some of these clips as we talk about this. I mean, gimbals, they're great, but you always deal with that Z-axis, the bumpy jiggliness, and it's never a good thing. What I really despise with stabilizers is the people that think, hey, my life is solved, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get the steadiest shots in the world, but yet you see the bump. That's unprofessional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, and these stabilizers, like, they definitely have, you know, their points of interest. Like, you're trying to do a fight scene or something really upbeat and really chaotic and crazy. Perfect. You know, you don't really have to worry about it being super perfectly stable. But when you're doing these nice slow product shots or these nice slow kind of push-ins and pullbacks, you really want that smoothness as much as possible, especially if you're going for that cinema look.
Yeah, so smooth. And like you said, the whole default position, like when you put up a bazooka or whatever, it's already ready to rock. You're not like trying to sit there and mess around. Yeah, some of the stuff is a little heavier, but at the same time, I show up to clients with pride. Yeah. Because I'm not, like, when you go and like, let's say you're doing a car lot, for example. When you show up, you don't want to show up with tiny gear. There's still the type of clients out there that like to see a big show. You're putting on a show for the client. It's not just the commercial itself. They want to feel special, and we've seen that time and time again.
Yeah, no, and you know, whether it's,
put them in the interview, right?
Yeah, well, you know, whether it's a small time kind of shop or when a big commercial type of deal, everybody just, you always see that in their eyes. Once they see that process and they see the magic of bringing all that equipment in and get everything set up, everyone likes to get in that mood. You know, they're having fun with it. They want to, you know, get engaged with the project. You know.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing with, like I said, we were talking about motion tracking earlier and whatnot. It has been so easy to motion track with things already being lined up as is. Every time I've tried to motion track a stabilizer while trying to spin around and do crazy stuff, don't do the crazy stuff. Do what you got to do to make the shot work. The whole goal is to make it look seamless, you know, and that's the toughest thing to do in this industry, is make it look seamless.
It reminds me of that analogy that, you know, construction workers have. You measure twice, cut once. It's kind of the same thing with the camera thing. It's like, you really want to build that base shot as perfectly as possible, and then maybe tweak a little things in post here and there and add our stuff. We love using CGI, you know. We're no strangers to 3D, CGI and all that stuff. We love using it, but, you know, as we've just been developing as filmmakers and shooting more and more compositions and shots and stuff, we just found that, you know, getting that perfect base is just makes the whole rest of the deal so much easier.
Saving time, man. That's what it's all about. And you know, in this industry, when you're editing, you're wasting not wasting, I mean, because it's fun to us. But then you start looking around, your kids got like beards and stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, time's going by too much. So you got to find better ways to not take shortcuts, but to find the shortcuts that are actually more effective than what you're doing at this point, right?
Right, like, of course, like, every production team is going to be going with a different goal.
It's like a band.
Exactly. You have to find what works for your team. You know, we've been working with this kind of small crew for a very long time now, and so what we're looking for is things that help us with that. You know, and all these proaim equipments and proaim products that we've been able to use has really been able to feel like we have a crew of 4 or 5 when it's really just us two doing the same old thing.
This is really like an orientation, because basically we're going to be showing you some of our worst stuff, and some of the stuff that has improved over time. You're going to see that with color grading. We're going to give you color grading tips as we go along with these shows. One of the most important things I want to talk about is templates. We're going to be creating templates for you. So some of the stuff that you see on our show, we're going to be providing you templates for After Effects. If you use Vegas Pro, the amazing thing is I've seen over the years, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this, Final Cut finally gave up. I mean, literally, after all these years. And the reason why I say this is because for many years when I was working in Hollywood, they tried to force me to get on the Mac. They said, no, you need to get on a Mac. But I was like, I can build a PC that can actually double the speed. Things are a little different now because you can customize your Mac as much as possible. But the laptops and whatnot, I had an i7 in 2007 laptop, okay? Finally, they had one. And that was unheard of. It was so expensive and it was a brick, but I'd rather have taken that because I knew it was rendering things 20 times more. And this is Mark Burnett's people, the guy that created Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so these guys came out, they took over our pre-fights. We do pre-fight videos for fighters. Let's go ahead and roll those clips from that stuff. And they came along, it was like a team effort. But at the same time, the team effort was, no, we're going to take over control. We had been doing King of the Cage mixed martial arts for about 5-6 years already, and they were going to come in and try and tell us how to edit stuff. And they said, no, you need to be on a Mac. I said, well, why don't we have a race? And they were like, let's have a race. So, here they were 5 or 6 days later, a week before the show, the night before the show, and they hadn't finished. I had been chilling for 4 or 5 days already. And they're like, look, we just don't know how you do it or what you're doing, but this is just not how we do it. I said, what? You only have 3 people. It's not like you're sending it back to corporate and getting it approved and all that. It had nothing to do with that. So I've always been that type of guy that it's not about shortcuts. It's about effectiveness, a shortcut, less time, so you can spend more time with your kids, and they don't have gray beards by the time you're done with your project.
And that's the beauty of this.
Sorry for talking so long.
No, of course not. That's the beauty of this industry. It's a great point that you bring up. We're always talking about how, being in camera, being in production, being in video, it's a constantly, you're adapting and moving and upgrading and switching out new products. Because like we were saying before with proaim, every time they beat the standard, they're setting a new standard with their next product. Yeah. So it's a constant race. And if you're not in it, with how we've been, just kind of keeping up with it every year. As soon as we need this, we need this now. We need to upgrade to get this shot. It's just, it keeps you fresh. It keeps you in a good state of mind. And like you said, that kind of old mentality with old film heads and stuff like that kind of come in and they really want to do it a very specific way. It's not like that anymore. The times are different.
We've been trying to create a film channel for a while. We figured this was a great collaboration. We could utilize the proaim's audience. That's what it's really all about. And, hopefully you'll follow our channel later, but I think we're just basically Team Proaim at this point. We'll just keep all our videos here. So basically, I'm sure people wonder, why are you so gung-ho about Proaim? And it's about getting an audience eventually, and hopefully, it's like we're interning right now.
Yeah.
It really is.
The way I see it, it's a match made in heaven, Perfect relationship for what we got going on right now, and, we got lots of content to come.
Yeah, like my day gig, I'm producing mixed martial arts events all day long. We're distributing that out. I'm constantly, I have my audience on social media as well where I commentate random videos, have fun with that. So that's a crazy audience. You don't want to find me there. But really, we've been wanting to do this for a long time. I started a website a while ago called Vegas Pro Editors where we had templates and all that, and things have changed. It's been about 10, maybe even 15 years since then. So, we're bringing it back. We want to help you be able to utilize the equipment and get familiar with some of the proaim stuff. So anything you want to wrap up with? I'm sorry, man. I'm just ranting away here.
I think you pretty much covered everything. Like I said, just stay tuned, especially if you're into camera work, if you're into video, if you're into editing, anything production related. This is the place to come, and we're going to be showcasing all kinds of products and all kinds of techniques and everything that he was mentioning.
There's no hiding. There's no trying to front and act like we're the best, because we're not. That's the thing about video. It's a constant learning thing. You're constantly learning. The second that you think you've learned everything, there's a guy doing laps around you.
Very humbling.
Yeah, it's very humbling. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Especially when a guy's trying to tell you, hey, that hard drive that's from 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that. So, it's like, I like my big hard drives. I store them. I don't use them for speed. I use it for space. So we'll go through all that stuff as well. So, hey, first good episode. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
We'll be back next time. Thank you for joining us here.